Hello guys and girls, Voices from the Dark here. Welcome back to more Steins. In the last episode, Sesua left us all. She departed into 1975. She wanted to relive the 70s. Also get an IBM 5100, and I'm thinking, so she went back there to give us an IBM 5100. Unfortunately, we don't have time to mourn her departure. In about an hour and a half, Moeka's group will attack the lab. Before that happens, we need to acquire the IBM 5100 that Sesua went to 1975 to obtain. That's a very, tight window of time we have here. The time machine's sudden disappearance has thrown the area into chaos, which makes it easy for us to slip out unnoticed. See you in 35 years, Sesua said. 54-year-old Sesua should be here in Akiba. Before she left, we decided that the time machine's disappearance would be her cue to bring the IBM 5100 to the lab. But when we return to the lab, there's no 54-year-old woman waiting for us. It seems Sesua hasn't come yet. No more running. Kurisu gasps for breath while Miuri calmly munches on a banana. As I check the lab for any sign of Sesua, a line of red numbers catches my eye. The meter reads 0.337187%. Divergence hasn't changed. Reading Steiner didn't activate this time, so I suspected that might be the case. Let's think this through. I thought that divergence would change the instant Sesua obtained an IBM 5100 in 1975. But maybe there's something else that needs to happen. Will it change the instant Sesua hands me the IBM 5100? Or will it change when we use the IBM 5100 to delete my email from CERN's database? At any rate, all we can do now is wait for Sesua to arrive. Sesua's 54 by now, right? After catching his breath, Daru speaks. My daughter is 30 years older than me. I don't know if I want to see that. Feels weird, man. You know, it wouldn't be unusual for her to have grandchildren by that age. You mean I could have great-grandkids? I don't know if I'm ready for that, man.
I'd just be super nice to them. That's what grandpas do.
Please don't call me grandpa. A knock on the door interrupts their idle chatter. It must be Sesua! Everyone looks at me. With a strange mixture of anticipation and anxiety, I slowly open the door. Since you said it's Sesua, it's probably not gonna be Sesua. Yeah, that's just logic. General logic. If you think it's somebody, it's not that. Okabe! Instead of an old woman, we get a wall of muscle instead. Our disappointment is palpable. Oh, it's you. Hey, have you seen my part-timer? Mr. Brown peeks into the lab.
If you're looking for Susu-san, she went 35 years.
Shut up, Miuri! Kurisu covers Miuri's mouth. You know something? Where'd that girl run off to? She took the last couple of days off, and I don't know when she's coming next. She won't even answer her phone. We don't have time for this, but I can't just order him to leave. Not unless I want another cracked skull. She said she went back to her hometown. She's probably gone for good. What? You sure? That brat. She didn't say a word to me. The future is changing. Isn't this proof? On my previous leaps, Mr. Brown never came by the lab. This must be related to Sesua's trip to 1975. Surely it's a good sign. Now, as long as the attractor field doesn't amend history again. Mr. Brown sighs and turns to me with a serious expression. Well, whatever. I got something for you, Okabe. For me? He hands me an envelope. Hands me Hans. Where did Hans come from? It's addressed to Okabe Rintaro, but there's no stamp or postmark. The name Hashida Susu is written on the back. Hashida Susu? I mean, Itaru's name is Hashida. So, from Susu? Is it from Sesua then? What is this? It's from the lady who used to own this building. She asked me to give it to you on this day. Of course! Oh my god! Susua owned this building and gave this to Mr. Brown to give to us on this day. That makes so much sense. Who? How did you know Susu-san anyway? Susu-san? Susu-san? Of course! The name on the back reads Hashira Susu. Hashira is Daru's surname. Where is she now? Huh? She passed away 10 years ago. Passed away? She's dead? A wave of dizziness nearly sweeps me off my feet. She was 44. How old was she? Mid-40s, I think. The age fits. Thank you for taking care of this letter, Mr. Brown.
Is it from Susu-san?
Seriously? Why did he have it? Mr. Brown clearly doesn't understand our reaction and we're not about to explain. I thank him again. He grumbles a bit and leaves. As soon as he's gone, I break the seal and open the envelope. Inside is a handwritten letter. The characters are slightly messy, as if her hand was shaking as she wrote it. Our eyes, transfixed, begin to read.
Dear Ukaba Rintaro, it's me, Amana Sasua, Hashira Teeter's daughter. It's been a long time. Though for you, I'm sure only a few hours have passed. The date is June 30th, the year 2000. 13th, rather, sorry. Meaning I'm writing this 10 years before you will read it. I'll get right to the point. I failed, 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 I failed. I failed, 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 I failed.
The newest Apple product. I failed, I failed, I failed, I failed.
The date is June 14th, the year 2000. About 9 or 10 years before you will read this. I failed. I only remembered who I was 1 year ago today. The day Nostradamus said the King of Terror would come. Stupid, stupid King of Terror. You should have come and burned us all away. For 24 years, I forgot who I was. All I could remember was my name. I finally remembered 1 year ago. The day the King of Terror was supposed to come, but didn't. There's no King of Terror, but I want to die. The repairs were incomplete. The time machine malfunctioned. When I arrived in 1975, I couldn't remember anything. They found me lying in the street like a broken doll and took me to a hospital. Now I've been living on my own for years, but that's a Sashida Susu, a normal person who forgot the duty and mission of Amana Sasua I only remembered last year. I failed, 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 I'm a failure. Something went wrong. I don't know what. The repairs were incomplete, but it's not my dad's fault. It's mine. I should have gone straight to 1975. I shouldn't have stopped in 2010, but I was selfish, and now the future is doomed. There's no IBN 5100. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. For what purpose have I lived to this age? I forgot my duty and lived a carefree life instead. Now my life has no meaning at all. It's worthless. 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 I wish I hadn't remembered. I'm glad I finally remembered. I'm glad I had this chance to say sorry. Forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me, forgive me. My plan failed. I spent this whole year asking myself why. I finally figured it out. If I hadn't postponed my leap to 1975, this wouldn't have happened. Ukaba Rintaro. After the offline meet, you stopped me from going to 1975. I was really happy, but That's where it all went wrong. I should have left. I shouldn't have waited. That was my last chance. That night, there was a thunderstorm. My time machine was flooded. If you can go back to that day, please, please let me leave. Then I can bring you the IBN 5100. I can fulfill my mission. Please, that's all I want. I promise, Dad. This was his dream. I want to change the future. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Gomennasai. My life was meaningless. My hands curl, crumpling the page. I realize that I'm crying. Susua failed? She lost her memory? Her life was meaningless. This can't be happening. Nobody says a word. Their faces, like mine, are frozen in disbelief. I turn to Daru. He's whiter than a sheet. Daru, didn't you fix the time machine? I did. I thought I did, but I mean, that was my first time repairing a time machine. I might have missed something. Missed something? Whatever you missed cost your daughter 24 years of her life. I didn't do it on purpose. Calm down, both of you. Ashita did everything it could. It doesn't deserve your anger, Okabe. How can you be so calm? That's how I am. Sorry. Now calm down. Gah. It's not Daru's fault. I know that. But it can't end like this. It can't! What was Susua's feeling as she wrote this letter? I look again at the words scrawled upon the page, every character resonant with despair. I wanted to welcome her back with a smile. Instead, this. Susua's dead. 10 years gone. Wait, how did she die? Don't tell me. Mr. Brown must know what happened. I take it by the time she remembered who she was, it was already insanely difficult to get a hold of an IBN. But still, if her cause of death was suicide, I mean, she still had 10 years to look for the machine. I don't see why she would not spend those 10 years. Because if you remembered a year ago, it means that she'd probably spent a year looking for one. But if she still had 10 years, then I don't know. I don't know if suicide is really the cause of death here. I run to the window and check the streets. Mr. Brown is outside, closing up shop. Mr. Brown! I run downstairs. Okabe, did you hear? That satellite up and disappeared. Everyone's talking about it. I guess it's already made the news. Please, I need to know. Huh? Know what? Ashita Suzu-san. How did she die? Why do you want to know that? He looks at me hard. I meet his stare unflinching. I don't know anything about how she died. I need to know what her last moments were like. I feel that it's my duty to know. To engrave her memory into my heart. Sounds like you got a reason. What I want to know is how you knew her. She was an old acquaintance. That's all I can say. A very old acquaintance, but I still remember the time I spent with her. So please, tell me. I don't like to talk about it, but alright. Listen good, Okabe. I slowly nod, and then I get my answer. Damn it, it was suicide! Why? Was she that? Did you just give up after a year? If so, then yeah, your life was pretty meaningless. It was suicide. The word drops on my heart like an anvil. My knees give out. I collapse to the pavement. Suicide.
She hung herself at home. I was the one who found her. My life was meaningless. I recall the last words she wrote in her letter, words of unimaginable despair. She didn't deserve so bleak an end. She became unstable about a year before it happened. Before that, she was a nice, cheerful lady. This building was hers. She gave me a place to stay. She had no relatives, you know. Almost no one came to her funeral. It was a sad thing to see. She handed me that letter a week before it happened. Told me to give it to a young man named Ukaba Rintaro on this exact date. When he moved in upstairs, I thought Suzusan must have seen the future or something. Enough. I can't take it anymore. I try to stand, but my legs betray me. I stumble, but before I fall, a small body supports my shoulder.
Okurin, are you okay?
Mayuri. Must be taking all her strength to hold me up. Did Mayuri hear how Susuha died? Her eyes are wet. Her lips are trembling. Still, she's the one supporting me. Mayuri and I bow deeply to Mr. Brown and return to the lab. When we get back, Daru is seated at his computer, head on the table. Kurisu is standing in front of the TV, watching an excited reporter talk about Radio Kaikon. The disappearance of the satellite is huge news, obviously. The lounge is silent, save for the TV. I look at the table, and I hear the construction noises outside, and I say, "Good job, guys. You've been at that construction for years, and you're not getting anywhere." The divergence meter still reads 0.337187%. It hasn't changed since before Susuha left. What went wrong? I can't go back 10 years with the time leap machine. I can't do anything about Susuha's death. Well, Susuha did write in the letter that the reason it failed was because we held her back from time traveling that day, so if we used the time leap machine to go back and let her leave and get to 1975, perhaps there's not going to be a malfunction with the time machine, she will retain her memory, and thus you can prevent her death and she can be here and hand you the IBN 5100 in person. That's a theory. Should I have stopped her from leaving after all? Maybe then this tragedy wouldn't have happened. No. What choice did I have? I can't save Mayuri without the IBN 5100. Susuha had to travel to 1975. I consider my options. What if I redo these 2 days again? Could Daru fix the time machine so this doesn't happen? Is fixing the time machine even possible? Daru's skills are second to none, and the time machine was built by his own hands 26 years in the future. It seems logical that he would be able to fix it. But look at it another way. It took Daru 26 years to learn enough to build a time machine, and he had to reverse engineer CERNs to do it. Maybe it's unreasonable to expect our Daru to perform flawless repairs in only 2 days. Well, the flooding was the main problem, wasn't it? So if you avoid the flooding, right? In that case, can I have Daru use the time leap machine and repeat these 2 days until it repairs it? Or wait, is the time leap machine limit before, after it's been damaged in the thunderstorm? That might be, actually. I can't remember the details exactly. In that case, can I have Daru use the time leap machine and repeat these 2 days until it repairs it? No, he'll have to start from scratch each time. 2 days just aren't enough. I collapse onto the sofa and bury my face in my hands. Mayuri sits next to me and gently rubs my back. I'm grateful for her kindness. I recall what Susuha wrote. If you can go back to that day, please, please let me leave. That email I sent. Could that be the cause? On the original world line, Susuha left in 1975 after failing to meet her father. Unsatisfied with that outcome, I sent a email to convince myself to follow Susuha and prevent her from leaving. I remember that. As a result, she remained in 2010 for an additional 4 days. But that night, the time machine was damaged by a thunderstorm. If I hadn't followed Sasua that day, if I hadn't sent that email to myself, her time machine would not have malfunctioned. She would have arrived safely in 1975. The solution is obvious. I need to cancel that email. But can I really do that? If I change the past so that Sasua leaves, won't that undo the 4 days we spent together? Our frantic search through the streets of Akiba. Her heartfelt confession on the roof of Radio Kaikon. Her tearful reunion with her father, Daru. All of it will be undone. What do I do? She doesn't have much use for those memories when she's dead, though. At least you'll remember them. An urgent bulletin pops up on the TV. I look up in surprise. Bomb threat suspends Yamanote, Subu, Keihin, Tohoku lines. Damn, Moeka's men will be here any minute. There's no time to think. There's no time to hesitate. I run downstairs, break into the Brontube workshop and turn on the 42-inch CRT. Then I return to the lab and activate the time leap machine.
What are you doing, Okabe?
Kurisu demands answers. I can see the fear in her eyes. We can't just leave it like this. I have to do something.
Okabe? But Okurin, are you sure?
Don't try to stop me, Mayuri. I can't let this stand. There are 2 options. I can cancel the D-mail that convinced me to pursue Sasua. Sending a contradictory D-mail should do the trick. Or I can time leap again and prevent Sasua from leaving. 2 options. But really, just one. Do not hesitate, Okabe Rintaro. Hesitation is unforgivable. You already know what you must do. Stop pursuit. Last mail. Isern trap. That should be enough to convince me to let Sasua go. Kurisu, you're good at remembering dates, aren't you?
Huh? Well, sure.
When did we throw that party for Sasua?
4 days ago, August 9th.
You're sending it.
You're sending a D-mail, Okurin? But won't that make everything disappear?
4 days. It may not sound like much, but in that time we forged a definite bond with Sasua. To send this D-mail is to sever that bond. I know that. I know that! This is the only choice I have. Well, if you don't, Mayuri dies, and Sasua's already died, so I would say it's worth a shot. I set the phone wave to 120 hours ago. This D-mail should arrive a few hours after the first. I'm trying to think though, because if we make it so she hadn't spent that time with us, would she still know that we were like the terrorists from the future and stuff? I think she already knew that. So I think that should be fine. The only thing is sort of the bond that we created and the fact that Daru's her father. Like, she'll never know her father's identity. Now I just need to send it. Save Mayuri. That is my purpose. That is what drove me to leap through time. I'll do whatever it takes to save her. This is just one more sacrifice. Erase the time you spent with Sua. Destroy whatever bond you had. Send a D-mail. Push the button. Isn't that what Sua wants? You'll be saving her from 25 years of loneliness, from ending her life in utter despair. Save Sasua. Save Mayuri. This is the right thing to do. This is right. But is it really? Is erasing those memories really the right thing to do? Isn't that just running away from reality? Reality's about to knock down your door and shoot Mayuri in the head pretty soon, dude. Shouldn't I try time leaping first? Maybe there's another way. What should I do? What's the right choice? Stop. You're starting to doubt. Never doubt. I don't know the answer, but I need to reach a conclusion, or else. I can't. I can't do it. I can't send this email. Acting on impulse, I donned the headgear and punched in a 48-hour time leap. That'll buy you more time. Do you have a plan? I ignore her and bite down hard on my lip. As the taste of blood fills my mouth, I press the button. Here we go again. The world twists. My legs shake. I cover my eyes and wait for my senses to return to normal. 1,000 emotions stampede through my skull, then fade away. I stare vacantly at Kurisu, who is standing in front of me. At first, I can't hear her over the buzzing in my ears, but little by little her voice becomes clear. See? You're shaking. You've only been at it for 2 days and you're already exhausted. Kurisu thrusts her finger at me like an angry schoolteacher. We still have plenty of time to find a pin. You don't have to be in such a hurry. If you collapse, what then? I won't be worried about you, but Mayuri sure will. Take care of yourself, got it? Dots. The time leap worked. Yeah, got it. I nod to Kurisu, then collapse onto the sofa. I couldn't sacrifice either of them. In a sense, I am running away. But there was no other choice. No other way to save Susuha and Mayuri both. In 2 days, Mayuri will die and Susuha will be lost to the past. If these 2 days are all we have left, then all I can do is repeat them. Forever. Let these 2 days be the rest of my life.